Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our stories today. Oprah likes to say that speaking your truth is the most powerful tool we all have. And I know that our stories are truly the most authentic validation we have to offer for this business. So thank you for letting me add mine in. My name's Brianna. I'm a wife, I'm a mom. I live in beautiful Amelia Island, Florida, although I'm originally from Boston, and my background's in emergency nursing. I have over 10 years experience working in departments ranging from trauma centers all the way down to community hospitals. And I loved being a nurse. I did. But I did not like working as one. And what I mean by that is I'd had it with corporations that valued CYA over patient advocacy, and the fact that I was spending more time in front of a computer justifying my nursing actions than I was with patients in front of me, and that was something I was giving up my weekends, holidays, 5-day stretches, 12-hour shifts. It was perfect recipe for burnout. And I honestly don't know a single nurse that doesn't feel this way. What changed for me especially was that 4 years ago, my husband and I finally became pregnant after many years of struggling with infertility. And for anybody that out there that's going through that, my heart goes out to you, because it was truly that was the hardest thing I've ever gone through. And we were lucky enough to be able to afford IVF, and as a result have identical twin girls. They're 3.5, Livy and Ryan. They are a hoot. But I knew once they came along, I wanted to, or so I thought, spend as much time with them as possible. What I wasn't prepared for was the fact that they were both super colicky. They cried all the time. I had a pretty hefty dose of what I call postpartum WTF, and I found that, I wasn't loving being the stay-at-home mom that I thought I should be, and I felt super guilty about that. So much so that, around 8 months, where we decided I was going to go back to work. We were always planning for me to go back to work in general. The reason being is my husband and I are kind of beach bums. We want to move our family onto a catamaran, run a charter business, and we needed our two income, jobs to pay for that. And me being home had put a big damper on it. So I had a pretty good motivation to get back to work. But getting back into the hospital life, it just took its toll. I was giving my paycheck directly to daycare, which is the biggest racket in my opinion. You basically pay to get your kid sick and then not use their services. So congrats to you, daycare providers, because that's a genius business plan. But I thought that I needed to be home with my kids, and I was just gonna suck it up, and I wasn't willing to leave the best parts of myself at work anymore. My compassion, my patience, my humor were all getting sucked up, and I was coming home like not a happy person. And that was around the time I was feeling lost, thinking that this is just what women go through, and they just suck it up. And that's about the time the business came into my life. My friend Dina, who you heard from, promised she could make it look like I was sleeping 8 hours at night. I was not. And that was back in September of 2016. My life has changed so much, you guys. I can't even tell you. I'm going to try to tell you. But basically, I joined the company, no knowledge of skincare. I was using whatever dripped off my shampooed head in the shower. I had no sales background other than playing to the doctors and all the strong personalities in the ER, patients and families. You can argue that's kind of a sales job. And I had great success, personal success with the products. So I found sharing them easy, and I was making money. I mean, I joined because I needed money, and I didn't overthink it. And I knew I had 2 months to figure it out. What changed for us beyond, having the paycheck and getting our boat plan back on track was the fact that I changed. I changed as a person. I basically thought that I had to trade my professional existence for my mom existence. And the career that I had chosen, the loans that I have that I'm paying for, were the result of choices that I made, as a 20-something-year-old. And I had changed as a mom. My priorities were different, and I didn't think I could have both the mom existence and the professional existence until the business came into my life. Now I've learned that every phase of your life requires a different version of you. You're constantly in a state of reinvention. I know women are, and I know we assume roles, and we assume the identities of those roles. And by that, I mean, being a wife, being a mom, being a worker. And they're all things that can essentially be taken away from you. They're all hats that you wear. And, you can get divorced, you can lose your job, your kids hopefully eventually leave the nest. And, that doesn't leave you with, or I think you can lose yourself in that. And I know I was starting to. And what I've learned with this business is that when you start something new, truly from the beginning, you start to learn things about yourself, your true self. You see how you respond to new challenges, and what happens when even bigger ones come along. And this business does require work. I mean, it's a good system. It's an easy, simple system, but it's hard work, and you have to be consistent with it. But it will pay you back way beyond the paycheck. We all try new things, and we nudge each other forward, and we cheer each other on, and you start to become empowered. And empowerment is contagious. And when you feel empowered, it's like a cup spilling over. You learn to find the next people that are feeling maybe a little bit stuck, but also a little bit brave. And you join together with them, and you build something, and it creates these relationships and feeds your soul. I know that sounds cliche, but it's absolutely true. And it's a feeling like you're at summer camp when you're doing it. I've met some of the most amazing women doing this, that I consider best friends of mine now. And just residual income in and of itself is incredible. You should look it up if you haven't really studied it. But basically, while I was in the hospital, I was getting underpaid per hour. And feeling like they were squeezing every last dime out of me. And it leaves you with a scarcity mindset. I didn't feel generous. I didn't give to causes that bothered me, that I felt like I maybe could help with. I just didn't feel like I had enough to share, as hard as that is to admit. Whereas now, I know that almost the more that I give, the more that I get. And my business grows because of that. Living in this kind of state of abundance and knowing that there's absolutely enough for everybody. And it really filled something in my life that I didn't know I was missing, and brings about, these human connections that I was liking in the ER. I mean, I was literally saving people's lives in the ER. It's very meaningful work in that sense, but it wasn't fulfilling. I didn't feel proud sometimes of the hospitals that I worked for, and I found myself having to justify these corporations to people, and I just wasn't willing to do it anymore. Whereas now I love the company that I work for. The doctors are incredible, and it feels so good to work for a company that you believe in. So that's my message for you guys. If you feel like there's something missing in your life, you're not satisfied with your current life circumstances, or even if you're struggling with the state of the world. I mean, we've had a rough week in Florida, and I know now that there's power in numbers, and I can give to causes that I believe in, and I do. I have it built into my business plan. I never would have done that as a nurse. Never even occurred to me. I'm living proof that you can change, not just your career, not just your bank account. You'll change. It's very profound. And I haven't met a single person that really works this business that doesn't agree with that. You have the opportunity to choose a new path for your life, and you don't have to wait for one door to close before walking through this door that is wide open. So I hope that you decide to take advantage and are open to it. Hopefully I'll see you around.